Well, good morning. Welcome to our last press conference for October. I guess I say that. We're going to be Halloween, I guess. So our next to last one. We got one more in October. But there are a couple things. Obviously, my shirt, I wanted to wear this from a standpoint of a lot of the things we've been doing at the City of Pensacola to work with our employees and some of the great things that happen. This shirt came out of a recent employee health fair that was done last Wednesday at Sanders Beach. The team was simply amazing. We've done some other ones. We had to go about 2 years without them because of COVID, but we've done other ones. And they were kind of your standard kind of thing. But this year they really went all out and did the pirate theme. And it was a great day. And everybody who I saw and I visited with, it was great. But more than anything else, people were taking care of their health. And we had a lot of things there to take care of our employees and what they're doing. And it's like I said this morning on a radio interview I was on, it really is about all the things we wanted to do with employee engagement, where we are in trying to promote our employees and invest in our employees. And I would say if you're out there and you're looking for a job in different areas, think about careers at the City of Pensacola. I think we do an amazing job of investing in our employees, certainly even down right to their health and making sure that they're treasuring their health and we're investing in their health. Now, granted, it does help us do better on our insurance. But again, it's a win-win situation, and it helps make sure we got healthier, safer employees so that they're engaged in what they're doing and can do a better job for all of us who are our customers and citizens in the community. And I think it just goes a long way. And I just want to tell the people at HR, I thought they did an amazing job. It was a great event, and so glad they were there to be a part of it. It was really, really great day. Another one that I wanted to also compliment is our team. I know this is near and dear to Amy Miller, who will be rolling off soon as the head of United Way, but we did have our beginning of our campaign season for United Way. And I know our employees, I think at Pensacola Energy, were running it. They did an amazing job. On Friday we had a cookout with some games out here in front of City Hall in the John Sunday Plaza. Well, we were there. We cooked some hamburgers and hot dogs and had some things. It was a nice day for employees. It was a great day here at City Hall, and we managed to raise a little bit of money for United Way as well. I really appreciate Laura Gillum and her team being here from United Way, and it just again shows more things that we're doing together as a team, and we're making our community better and reinvesting in our community. So these are great things that happened last week that I wanted to kind of call your attention to, things that are, it's easy to overlook, but these are parts of really what we try to do in building the culture that we built here at the city, as well as really investing in our employees. We have some things also I want to get started before we do anything. I know one of the things is investing in our facilities as well. I know there were several questions last week about the airport, so I had Matt Coughlin here. I was going to invite him up just to kind of give an update. He's welcome to answer any questions directly related to the airport, but we have some news and some things we've been able to fix, repair, and some other things. I'll let Matt tell you what's going on.
Thank you, Mayor. Matt Coughlin, Director, Pensacola International Airport. I think it's fair to say we've had some challenges with our vertical movement at the airport, escalators, elevators. We have a total of 7 elevators at the airport, 2 escalators. Of the 7 elevators today, 5 are operational. Both escalators are operational. But what we've seen overall over the last several years is just an increase in numbers. We've had record years both in 17, 18, 19, and then 20 was obviously an off year with the pandemic. But even last year, we beat last year's record numbers again. And so to just give you an idea how many people are going through the facility and using that vertical lift, we look at numbers roughly the population of Pensacola going through the airport every 8 days. And that has its wear and tear. And you couple that with some parts issues, supply chain. But the good news is the escalators are both up. We've replaced motors. We've replaced brake systems. We expect the 2 elevators right there at the choke point of the terminal to be up this week, if not today or tomorrow. So we're on the right path there to get back on track. And I'd also put out to anybody using the airport that needs assistance that we have people and personnel in place to help them, to bring them up other elevators and other avenues to the airport. So with that, I'd be willing to take any questions.
Matt, real quick though, one of the reasons we haven't invested, put in just brand new stuff, is we do think that area will all be opened up because of simply the volume that you're going, the corridors. What we're planning to go for is going to be much larger, and so that area we'd just be throwing money in where we tear it out.
That's correct. We will be doing projects to get us over that hump, though, over the next couple of years, and that is starting next spring. We're basically going to be rebuilding the escalators because they need it. They need it drastically. But we are going to be eventually opening up that area with a new build concourse. Security is going to be expanding up in that area to not only feed the current terminal, but a new concourse. So there's going to be a lot of design, there's going to be a lot of projects taking place, and that's a good problem to have because we need to set ourselves up for the future and the growth that we're seeing.
I think you had some questions.
Yeah, no questions. I just want thank you so much for the follow-up. Yeah, I had asked last week about the ADA compliance, and bottom line, you guys made sure that it was accessible and that and we made that clear, so that was great. So I'm happy to hear about the growth, and obviously you haven't had any complaints because you're making sure everybody gets there. And I know last week they said, get a couple hours ahead of the old days, because sometimes
it's definitely changed over the last several years, and I recommend everybody come out early. Thank you.
Matt, for people who haven't gone there, I think there's also a little bit of culture change for Pensacola in the parking. People could come up and park and had no problem getting in and out, and I think you might want to tell them what's happening today.
I would say in the future, now we try to be very flexible with people. That in the older days, people could just pull up, park, and stay there and hang out. We're seeing numbers now. It's not a safe environment to necessarily do that anymore. So what we like to do with our traffic officers is get people moving, and you just don't see that at most airports. We've been very lucky in the past. But you're going to see more and more, a little bit more enforcement of the curb just because of the numbers we're seeing and keeping people safe.
Thanks, Matt. I
Thank you
appreciate
very much.
What do you think the timeline will be for the expanded concourse and thing? What's the expected timeline?
Sure. So we're looking at design this coming year, and then construction following that the next probably year to 2 years after that. So 3 years. We're aiming for. We're lining up the environmental study right now, the initial concept, and then we'll go into design soon thereafter.
Is that being paid for with federal grants, or how's that?
So we're getting together with a lot of our funding partners, but yes, to answer your question, it may involve some local money, some state money, some federal money, and perhaps some other funding avenues.
It's very likely we could bond a portion of it, and that would be paid for by the airlines that use the airport. So, it's going to be a little bit of everything. It's when you do a project this big, where it's not one source could fund the whole thing.
Correct.
So we're going to be partnering with everybody. Again, I certainly hope in 3 to 4 years we're able to be in a new concourse. I think it's probably more realistic to say 4 to 5 years, but I think that's definitely our goal. Is in that maybe 3 to 5 range. So don't want to oversell too much, Jim. I think it's going to be closer to maybe that 4 to 5. But optimistically, we're going to be trying to move to get everything we can done. There are too many opportunities in front of us right now. And the facility is it was never built to handle what it's handling right now. And it's a good problem to have. We're happy and we're working it, and this team is doing an amazing job with what they've got. But right now they need a different facility. They are handling stuff that's much larger, and people are like, I know they're like, well, I used to just come up here and just sit here and wait for people to come out and other stuff. And we're like, yes, but we the volume we have right now is so much higher that we really need you to come more just in time. If you know the people are out there, and there are just a number of different ways we can work together, just helping with the volume. We have a significant increase in the amount of people that are going through there.
Matt, hi. Well, I tell you, just the world we live in, social media, you're seeing this year a lot more Well, a lot more negative reaction to Destin Fort Walton Airport's operations. I think they're having the same problem you are. But in this expansion, it sounds like maybe incremental expansion. How many gates are you looking at the end of 5 years, adding to what you have now?
We're looking at adding 5 jet bridge served gates, so that'll give us basically a 50% capacity increase.
I wouldn't. My opinion is that not quite incremental. That's kind of a major step forward.
Well, I think it is and it isn't. I mean, the other good news is we would have the ability to continue to increase as we needed to, and I think that's the goal. Is we're giving ourselves more flexibility. What we've seen is we got more people traveling here, but it's not like everybody is just coming to Pensacola. We have things. Panama City is doing well. All the things are happening. We know what's happening over in Mobile, and they're going to move theirs. But I truly believe there is enough opportunity here in what we're seeing, both in the travel market and the business market, to be very successful. And I think where Pensacola has positioned itself, we stand in the best position to capture both that business and travel very well. And that's what we're going to continue to work at. I think the future, not only economic driver for our businesses, for just our citizens, for just a variety of different things, having a great airport is going to be important as we go forward. It's going to be a more and more important asset. It's an incredibly important asset for us here at the city. So we're going to continue to function and invest in it. And I think you've seen the investments we've made. Even things like the hangars play a big part in where we are today. And the whole thing is, how do we keep trying to work to bring that cost of flight down? Because the cheaper we can make it here, that means we get more flights, we get more destinations, we get more everything, more airlines. So it keeps us competitive. And obviously, you saw what we did at the small airport, the general airport, and the smaller one. With customs being there, we'd love to see that come over to the general side and be there. And I think we're truly international now in what we can service there at the airport. But we'd love to see it on the actual commercial side much more prevalent. And I do think in the future that there's a real possibility. I know everybody kind of laughed about it before, but I mean, I really think we're very close to getting to that point where we're going to have the opportunity to do true international flights. I mean, not maybe all over the world, but certainly the Caribbean, North America, those kind of places.
You brought up Mobile. Is there concern that Mobile's new terminal in the airport is going to take away from
I think you always have to be cognizant of things going on. I think two things are happening. I think there's always an ability for the challenge. You can't get caught up as worried about your slice of the pie. But I think at the end of the day, the things that Mobile's doing, the things that we're doing, I think we're going to continue to grow the pie. So if the pie is growing, as long as our slice is the same, we're going to be fine. I think there are a number of issues that are there that I'm not necessarily worried about Mobile one way or the other. I think it's good. I think it's good for Mobile to be successful. I think it's good for Panama City to be successful. I think those two things on either side of Pensacola are going to make Pensacola successful. So I've never been a big regional competition person. I've been more of a regional collaboration person. So I think those are there. I mean, there are things we need to be cognizant of, but I think we keep doing the things we're doing, and we're going to position Pensacola to be in a very good place as we go forward. We feel very good about that.
Mayor, is one of your funding partners for the airport expansion in Escambia County?
I mean, they've helped us on certain things there. I don't know that we necessarily will be going to them in particular on the terminal expansion, but they've been an incredible partner with us in economic development in the hangars. So it's hard for me to say they're not a partner. I don't know that we'll see them I don't know that we need to reach out to them in the terminal side. Really, the state funding and the federal funding are going to be the most important that we have with our partners. Matt, thank you for coming. We got some new promotions I want to talk about in planning and zoning. And I didn't see Kareth here, but I think we're still we got a new IT director, don't we, coming on?
It's coming up for city council to affirm the vote.
That's it. So I'm sure, I guess then we'll be announcing that. We'll have a new IT director that's on the vote this week with council meetings. But we do have some new in-house promotions, which we're very happy and pleased to announce. Two really good people that we have here at the city, and we're able to find a way for them to advance, and very excited about both of these individuals. We're pleased to announce the two promotions in development services and planning and zoning. Cynthia Cannon has been promoted to the new planning and zoning manager, and Leslie Statler has been promoted to the new development services coordinator. Cynthia and Leslie have been here for an amount of time. They bring nearly 50 years of combined service to their positions, and we're very excited about their promotion, and they've done a great job for us and some of the things that have been happening there. So very excited about both of them being able to move forward and move up, and we think they will continue to do great things for the city in their new roles. So we're very excited about that, and it's always good to see people from inside your organization be able to move up to new levels of leadership. So very happy for both Cynthia and Leslie. Keep up the good work, and thank you for all you've done. This is also a reminder that the active transportation plan input is we're still going on. We've hosted 2 mobility fairs last week to gather input on the city's active transportation plan, which is currently being developed. The goal is to gather input on walking, biking, and other human-powered modes of getting around. If you missed the workshops, the online survey is still available at cityofpensacola.com/active transportation plan. City council meetings will be this week. Agenda review is today at 3:30 in the Hagler Mason meeting room, which is here. City council meeting will be down in Chambers at City Hall Thursday at 5:30. This is a reminder also that this weekend on the 29th will be my final mayor's cleanup and the last one for 2022. The final cleanup for 2022 will be Saturday, October 29th in Cordova Park, Bars Park, Dunwoody Park, and Carpenter Creek areas. Please check your cleanup map to make sure you're in the cleanup area. Neighborhood cleanups allow the City of Pensacola sanitation customers in the cleanup area to leave eligible items at the curb for pickup free of charge. Learn more at cityofpensacola.com. And trust me, my wife and I have been out in our garage, so we're gonna have a lot for them to pick up on Saturday. So looking forward to that. And I know that many of my neighbors are as well. It's always good. I think it did very well. We're going to have some things that are discussed, and it's one of those that always does well with citizens enjoy it and appreciate it, and they really get out there and use it, so that's good. There are a couple things I wanted to make announcements about last week. Unfortunately, right after we were here, we had a fire at Armstrong Park. First, I'd like to commend the Pensacola Fire Department for their quick response to the fire last week. The playground caught fire after someone improperly disposed of a cigarette, throwing it on the ground. The city, it was kind of ironic because we were just talking about Fire Prevention Week, but this is why the Pensacola Fire Department would like to remind the public to always dispose of cigarettes in the proper way. Put cigarettes out all the way every time, and don't walk away from lit cigarettes or other smoking material. Put water on cigarettes to make sure they really burn out before you put them in the trash. This was a case where it has been very dry for us, and again, it was unfortunate that somebody threw out a cigarette, and that's what was found. It was also, eyewitnesses said, it started the fire, and again, once it got caught underneath that plastic goes on the park equipment goes fast. So we are working to try to do whatever we can to get that playground back into usable. I guess it's closed at this particular time, or just the one area that was had fire damage. But really, we really appreciate Pensacola Fire Department got there quickly and made sure they were out. But we were talking about Fire Prevention Week last week. This is a good chance to always also remember not to throw your cigarette butts out. There's also a couple things I wanted to talk about that were a little confusing in the media, so I wanted to clear up. I know, Jim, I saw your article on Roger Scott, and the TDC is not funding. They were looking. There was a discussion that when we were doing the courts that Councilman Moore, as on the TDC, had wanted to do something to ask the TDC. I think Councilman Jones is also on the TDC. They had worked with Pensacola Sports to ask about looking at that. Pensacola Sports was like, hey, we could get some money to do those courts 13 through 18. At the time, it kind of would slow us down, but if we got the money, we were like, all right, we'll take a look at it. Obviously, from the county's perspective, they weren't willing to go through it this time, but from our standpoint, it was also allowed us to get moving faster. We've already, as soon as Thursday came, I told David, let's cut loose on courts 1 through 12. We've kind of been ready to cut those since the council gave us approval. We did sort of halt just in case something happened with the TDC. But I think what we need to be doing is moving forward with 1 through 12. While we are looking at a funding alternative for 13 through 18, I'm not so sure that we even do that at this point and try to figure out what's going to happen with 13 through 18. I think if we can get courts 1 through 12 redone as hard courts, what happens with 13 through 18? I think there's a lot of things out there, and I think one of the things that Brock and Patrick have been talking about is getting the USTA out there to look at even if the possibility of for them to come and do some design work and see what they can do about looking at maybe even making those clay courts. So I'm not so sure that it's best to keep them hard courts going forward. So again, I think at this particular time, the fact that we didn't have something from TDC on those 13 through 18, that in no way stops us from moving forward with 1 through 12. So we will continue to move forward with those, and we're able to. We'd have to wait for all the results to come back from all that, but right now we're able to turn loose and go ahead and send that to up to purchasing to get a bid out and hopefully get a bid process out early on the courts 1 through 12. So there will be a funding alternative for 13 through 18, but that is not, we don't have to accept it. We don't have to do anything with it necessarily, and I'm not sure what we do. But I do appreciate Councilman Moore thinking of those things. It certainly seemed like from Pensacola Sports, they were certainly agreeable in knowing what that can mean. Lastly, I was also somewhat confused and stunned. Last week we talked to you about what was happening on Spring Street, and we certainly thought that was a very positive thing that we found a significant leak of where we had sewage getting into stormwater. We certainly said in this meeting that was not the only place it would be, but we do believe it will be a significant place that was impact. And we'll continue to keep doing what we're doing with ECUA to look at other places. So it's not going to stop what we're doing, but I think it shows we certainly found places working together. We're finding some solutions, and as we do that, it'll make things better. I think that's the overall, the important part of this is how do we improve the environmental health of what's going on in the Bay and the Bay system. And I think, I always love the question that said, well, we had to look at the data. Well, the data clearly showed we have sewage leaks in there, and we found one of the sewage leaks. So we thought that was very positive, and we're going to keep looking for more of them. But I think we certainly found a very important one when we were there at Spring Street, and we'll keep searching for more solutions so we continue to make things better. But and lastly, last week I hoped to get this out for you, and I guess we got 3 parts of the media today, so we will hand one of these out to you. These certainly were done with our finance department and PIO. They did a great job of putting these together. I think it's when you look at the budget book, it is so hard to understand, and it's a little bit confusing. We're a little bit funny because we have a general fund budget, and then we have the big budget with everything in there with our enterprises, which kind of distorts what we really are. I think this booklet, in a very small way, does a great job of showing who we are and what we do and how we do it. And I thought they did and they break it down to per person per day, different expenses in there. So it really is, I think, much more relatable to the average citizen. And I thought it was a great little thing that we did, even to the point that it has the explanation of all the different dates on our seal, which I thought were good too, because people always ask me, what are those dates? And I'm like, well, I know the first one is when the Spaniards set it up. I know the 1821 is when we became an American territory, and I know 2010 is when we did the most recent mayor council form of government. But some of the other ones I wasn't so sure on. But we have the alderman government, we have the commission government, and we have the institution of the council manager government. Those are all the other dates that are on there. So I thought it was very informative, and I thought it was a good thing that both our finance department and our PIO. So Casey, appreciate that, and I think it looks good. And I want to be sure that all of you had it. And if you citizens out there wanted one of them, I think it's a great way to understand our budget in a very small. Because if you get the big budget book, it can be terribly, the thing's about that thick, and it can be terribly somewhat intimidating. But this is a great little book that shows it to you in a couple of slides. So that's what we've got going on. I'm happy to answer your questions on anything you might have that we're looking at. Yes, John.
Mayor, on the subject of budgets, and at the risk of going so nerd here, but at the Park and Recreation Board meeting last week, a presentation was given on the budget. The Park and Recreation
Okay.
General Revenue and Expenditure Report, FY22, fourth quarter final tally.
Okay.
The Community Maritime Park Service Fund, according to this, operated at a $300,000 deficit this past year. Now, there's a footnote to that I want to ask you what this really means. Community Maritime Park fund increase, I'm still trying to figure out where the increase came from, is due to the new market tax credit unwinding transaction.
I would have to ask Amy exactly what's going on. From a cash standpoint, the way it is accounted for, it can be a number of different things. So I'd have to ask Amy, and I can find that out. I don't know of anything in there from a cash standpoint that we were out of whack in anything that we're doing. I don't know if that's an accounting way that she's having to deal with the budget, which, again, a number of those things come up, and we can have an explanation. We can get that from Amy, and we'll be happy to. I'm looking at Casey, so she'll be happy to get that to you and provide it to everybody as well on our list and explain that. I don't know the particulars of why it came out, but I also don't know of anything that we've done. We had accumulated a lot of funds, if you remember, and then we spent them in the upgrades that we did to the stadium. Let me say, I had the first time to really experience the lights in the sense of when they could turn them out and turn them on, and it was a light up learning, and it was really neat what they did with the stuff on there. But as you recall, and they kind of laughed about it, the old lights, they turn them off, and then we'd have to wait for a while for even come back on. But now the new lights that we have, the LEDs, you can turn them off. They do all kind of stuff. It's just like everything else you see at these much larger stadiums. It's really neat to have. But we bought the new lights. We put in the AstroTurf. We think those things will allow us to do more things out there, and so I don't know of anything that we were necessarily out of whack, other than probably an accounting entry. But I'll find out from Amy, and we'll be happy to get you all the information.
The new market tax credit unwinding, how does that relate to the city's revenues from the Community Maritime Park?
John, I'll be happy to find out what that is. I'm sure in some way or another this is an accounting measure that from you and I that think of it from a cash standpoint may not necessarily have something, but there's an accounting reason that's in there, and I'm sure Amy can get that, and we'll have that explanation. I'll be happy to get that. But it doesn't sound like it's a cash issue as much as it's a way we have to account for something. So I'll find out from Amy, and we'll be happy to get that.
Speaking of the Maritime Park, this week the City Council, you are talking about the lease for parcel 9, and I think after this week you've only got one regular council meeting left. Right?
4 and 5.
Yeah.
I talked with Andrew last week. I reminded him that if they want to get it on before that, they need to do that. We're gonna have a lot of stuff for November. We got a few things else that are coming up. I hope we have 4 and 5, but if we don't, they'll keep working together and see what they can do for bringing it in December. I know the ball right now is in their court. I think we've got everything we need to. We're small parts here and there, and I was hoping certainly this week we could do that. I talked to Andrew last week and reminded him that the deadline was this Friday for getting it on the agenda. So he's well aware of that and hoping that he gets something from them But again, it's a two-part negotiation. I can't control what they come back with. But we tried to put something out to them. We got everything turned around to them before, I think when I was here last week, and we were hoping to hear back from that. We've now been a week in. We hope we'll get another week that we can get all this straight and get close. But I am happy about parcel 9. I think that was important. I was glad we were able to get that to council, and I think it's going to be a big thing for the Wahoos and continuing to keep minor league baseball here. It's exciting. It was fun to watch the UWF on TV this weekend. I watched the game. I mean, I wish, in some ways we still had that there, but obviously the things that we had going on, but who knows what else we can what else we can do as the future goes forward. Certainly there may be opportunities to do other stuff as you look at what's out there. But I think adding to it only certainly improves our ability to keep a franchise here. And you look at Mobile, they lost their franchise. I mean, I don't think we want to lose the franchise and the vibrancy. It was we'll keep looking at different ways we can add. But having 9 and allowing them to put that additional batting cage in there, I think is going to be critical for us continuing to keep that stadium up to major league standards. Which obviously it's a minor league stadium, but everything they want you to do is there. Miss Lavoie, did you hear us? And okay, all right. Well, I was wondering how you came. I was like, man, the speakers. John was asking some questions. Come on up here. John was asking some questions about the community maritime park. Something about tax credits unwinding and a journal entry, which I said I've not heard.
That was before us, way before us.
Come on.
The tax credits have been unwound and they're done. But if you're going to have more specific questions than that, that's before me. So I'd have to go look. Sorry.
But is that more of an accounting entry or is that cash or something?
The unwinding of the new market tax credits?
Right, it's a footnote to a journal entry on the Parks and Recs budget, the Community Maritime Park Service Management line item, which operated at an apparent deficit this year.
Can I look at it? Do you mind if I
It was
look at it?
executed to budget, but the cash flow looked like it was I can follow up with this later, Mayor. I mean, this is.
All right. Well, I didn't know if Amy'd have an explanation offhand, but we can certainly get that and figure out what's going on. But I was going to say, Amy, I wasn't aware of any cash issues one way or the other in what we've been able to spend. I know we've spent a considerable amount on the stadium, and we do have parcel 9. I think parcel 4 and 5 will be important for the future. Obviously, we get going on parcel 4 and 5. We immediately, and I've had discussions with Andrew, that parcel 6 is still very interested. They know that everything they want to do is contingent upon the parking agreement. They also understand that basically the last couple of years have been a wash anyways for them, much like what we've seen in some of our other hotels. But I think they're kind of getting to the point where they now want to see some action. So I think that is important to keep them there. But, we got the hotel coming up off of 9th Avenue, the potential for the one that Chad Henderson's doing off of Jefferson Street, the one down here, the one that the port is talking about doing. I think when we start adding those kind of rooms to our community in the downtown, it will only enhance what we've done in the vibrancy. I think it will continue to make downtown a very marketable place for retail and hospitality that we've seen, and I think it also encourages additional living opportunities downtown. Certainly 4 and 5, but we get the apartments that are right up the street here on Garden. Those will very shortly be coming out. I think I've heard of different apartments that are also coming out that are different ones than anything the city is involved on their property. But again, I think we're seeing some things happening. I mean, I think everybody's trying to get in line with cost and construction cost, and those are certainly challenges that we're working with. Hold on, did you want to make an announcement, Amy? Did you tell everybody what it was?
She said she's figured it out.
You can tell them.
I don't think it had anything to do with the new market tax credit. That's a footnote that that the tax credit will unwind in 2017. He was correctly looking at the community maritime park and showing that it operated at a loss, meaning expenses were greater than revenues. But if you recall, Mayor, we did a lot of capital projects at the park,
Yeah.
including lights.
That's what I talked about.
That,
Okay.
that's not part of the loss there, but it was included in the same capital projects.
So I knew those things were going on, but I didn't know of anything else. Nobody came and said we were necessarily, but that's what I'm saying. They usually can talk to them and they know exactly what's going on and can tell you what's happening. But nobody's come and said we were problematic as far as where we were and what we thought would impact the
Mayor,
rest
on
of
the
it.
subject of real estate, you mentioned Chad Henderson, that East Jefferson, or the Jefferson Streetscape project, looks like it's finished. It looks great over there. What are you hearing from Mr. Henderson about his project that this was going to support?
If you remember CRA, we had 2 weeks ago, we made we got his parking set up, so he now has his parking. They were going to do a deck. Obviously, they ran into some of the problems that we ran into with concrete, and it's not that they might not could do a deck in the future and some other things. They still have the space and still have the plan to do that, but in the short term, they needed some other place. They have, with securing the parking last week, they have gone now. They've put it out for finance markets. They're hoping to get their financing. When I talked to them the other day, they were hoping to start breaking ground by the first of the calendar year. So if everything goes well, I mean, obviously that is all contingent upon them receiving positive word from the capital markets. But I think if they get that, I think they're ready to go. They've certainly been communicating with our people and their plans and whatever they need to do to get permits and begin working. But I think they're planning to go as soon as they can if they can get their capital straight and their financing. They're planning to move forward. Obviously, we have the one down here, and of course we have the one on the port, and I think the port one is, when I talked to Amy, still looking to move forward. So I think that, coupled with the one that's on 9th Avenue that's already under construction, I think we're just going to see more product. You know, we went to Savannah, and I mean that was the one thing that was so different. Savannah is significantly more tourism than we do, but what's really interesting is they have a very small port of tourism that's on their beach, but most of their tourism is in their downtown, which we just totally flip. But I do think it's kind of getting back where we are making downtown a viable place for tourism. And you know what's interesting is people ask, well, you know what's so big about that, or why do you need to? Well, tourism helps you have better hospitality product, better retail product downtown, because you have people that are down here that are shopping. And when you look at the retail shops and the restaurants and other hospitality venues in a Charleston or a Savannah, they're significant compared to Pensacola. But that's partly because we have not had the hotels, and we've always had tourists on the beach that maybe come to the mainland a little bit. I think we're beginning to show that Pensacola can be its own tourist destination, and downtown can do that. So, you know, I'm excited about what the future holds. These didn't happen by accident. This was a lot of work that we put into to make this happen. And I think Chad's thing will come to fruition. I think you know, we're hoping to see the stuff on Lot 6 once we get 4 and 5 going, and the port one. So I think you're going to see many more hotel products down here, and at least the Holiday Inn that's down on Main Street, it's done well. I mean, that's what I keep hearing and the other ones that are in the you know, the Chase and Gregory corridor have done well. That's what keeps pushing new hotels to say they want to be down here. So those are good problems to have.
So, Mayor, the Visit Pensacola director not long ago told the TDC that the number of short-term rentals had, in his words, gone up 30 or 40% from this time last year. Do you think the city is postured to handle an increase in short-term rentals, particularly with a lot of this new residential construction that's ongoing?
You know, I mean, again, we don't have a lot of ability to control short-term rentals because that's controlled at the state. So to simply say we're not going to do them, I don't think we have that possibility. is it has it made an existing tight housing market tighter? Absolutely. But it's one thing we just don't have control over. That's why we're looking at things we can do, and I think you're going to see in the very near future we're going to have some discussion items that will be coming forward that will really look at what we want to do and some of the plans that we've been discussing with you. Last time we talked about that transition and pivot we made to say we want to still do our housing program, but we probably might want to do more rentals than ownership driven. And I think the rental market, both through Civicon and some other things, has become more acute to us that it's where the real problem is, and what we need to be doing in the rental market. And that's why I think the apartments that are going up on Garden, that'll help. Apartments over here will help. The more apartments we get out there, as the Civicon speaker said, it's apartments at every level. It's not like you can say, you definitely want to do affordable housing. I think you're going to see us bringing forward some rental affordable housing. But again, having rental at all products helps move people, because there are people that move into that then move out of something else that could be an affordable spot. And again, it's more that supply and demand, and I think that's what's going to be critical for us is tapping into that additional supply. Everyone has told us 2 weeks you're going to have Lotus coming here, and Lotus is going to tell you the due diligence period they've talked about is we need more product. Pensacola needs more product to be successful in what it's doing. Now, they definitely want us to do more affordable housing product, which I think you're also going to see us doing more affordable housing apartments. But overall, we just need more product is the first thing they're going to say. And when we talk to them, and some of their assessment is that the dearth of availability is very challenging at this point in Pensacola. And it's not like we've done. I don't think we want to quit making Pensacola an attractive place for people to come. So people are continuing to come here. So the only way we can counter that is by increasing the supply. And I think that's what we've got to do. And I think in the very, very near future, you're going to see a couple of things come forward that continue to push that on there. But I think 4 and 5 would be really good use of apartments, just like what we're seeing down here. Even if they're market rate apartments, I think they'll open up other space across the city and across the region for rental. And again, that's where we are incredibly tight, and we need more product. All right. Thank you very much. We will look forward to seeing you next week at Halloween. So maybe we'll have a dress-up party. But I've already dressed up. I'm already in my Treasure Your Health. So hopefully you'll take care of your health, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.